and now Reverend Bob Trask.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. My dear friends, before I start, I want to talk just for a moment about Edith Wallace, our singer for today. Edith is Edith is somebody that we need to understand a little bit about. She's one of the very few people that I've ever met, and I was a professional singer for a number of years, who is the music. She doesn't sing the music, she is the music. She flows with the music. And when she's not singing, she's dedicating herself to enriching and uplifting other people's lives. That's her entire life. She is very like Mother Teresa, who said, I am a small pen in the hand of God, writing love letters to the world. I'm so honored to be on stage with and in the presence of Edith Wallace. we find very few people that can reach as deeply into us as she does. Today we're going to talk about desire. Desire is everything. I tell you, I've been thinking about this for a week. This is going to be hot. Today it's going to be hot. We're going to do some interesting things. Did you know that the minds of human beings are storehouses of enormous power? And they can create anything we can dream of. But mostly we don't do that because we doubt whether this powerhouse will ever, we doubt whether it exists. And then even if it exists, will it deliver for us? And a lot of us have tried to get it delivered for us before and it didn't work, so we've given up on it. Again, the minds of a human being have the power to do anything a human being can dream of. The reasons for that, the reasons that we fail is that we don't understand how that dynamo mind works. And secondly, we don't know how genius works. We don't know how mind works and we don't know how genius works. Today, let's find out. The mind I'm speaking of is not just the brain, is it? It's the nucleus of a live divine consciousness. It's the nucleus of consciousness. It's the link between us humans and the eternal spiritual beings and God. It was the first creation that we made when we incarnated into these bodies. Why did we decide to incarnate? Why? So that we could experience life. This is really important for today, so hang in with me. The reason we incarnated, the reason we're here, our purpose for being here is so that we can experience life at its fullest. The ups and downs, the bumps, the grinds, the joys, the sorrows, the losses, the gains, all of it, to experience everything we can. And that's why we're here. And then to express that experience in our own individual way. We were just listening to Edith Wallace sing. She wrote that song, incidentally. If you want to call it writing, she just is the song. So when we express, we don't express like somebody else or with somebody else. We express in our own way. I was in San Francisco and I had the good fortune to meet Harry Belafonte. He did a concert and he asked me to come backstage afterwards and talk to him, and I did. And so we talked a little bit about singing, and he said, I just want to give you this one piece of advice, Bob. And incidentally, I didn't really follow it. Wished I had. He said, don't ever sing like anyone else. Don't ever try to be as good as anyone else. Sing your own music, your own way. You know, when Harry Belafonte was young, he was invited to a big, very, very famous club in New York City. And he was kind of hanging out in I think, Greenwich Village, and he was playing his guitar and singing his folk songs. And because he was such an incredible singer, and the presence of that guy, oh my gosh, if you were in his presence, you were just stunned by the brilliance of his personal power. But Harry was invited he got an agent, and his agent said, I booked you into this incredible nightclub. I wish I could tell you the name of it, but you would know it. It's a big club. And he went in, and they wanted him to sing all of these pop songs, these current pop songs. And he would not do it. He left the job and went back to the village. So he gave up on his one chance to be famous. He gave up on that to go back and do what he did. And such an inspiration. What a powerful, powerful man. Not only a powerful man in his music, but in every other part of his life. So we're here to experience and express life, and then express it in the way that it comes from us as unique individuals. So every day we live is as a conduit of earthly experience and expressions into Great Spirit. Get me? So that means that what I'm doing right now is I'm expressing my experience of life. And as I express that, and it goes into you, it goes into the Great Spirit, it goes into God. And so does yours every time you express it. This is a conduit of love power, amazing grace here in our earthly domain. Well, then, we're here in this earthly domain, and we're here to experience and express. So it's like, are we on vacation? Are we Adam and Eve laying along the riverbank naked, not even knowing we're naked, and watching the butterflies and just going, yeah, well, so what? This is all just perfect. And yeah, so what? So is that why we're here? With no agenda and no direction? Just wandering around, goofing off until we're called back to the mothership? Or is there really a divine purpose that'll guide us through a self-expanding set of circumstances? I'm going to assume that we're all here on the same page, and that we agree that there are certain paths through this garden of life that will most benefit us on our eternal journeys. Then we need a guidance system, don't we? We need a GPS, because we come to these forks in the road in the garden. We come to these paths that go several different directions, and we want to do what will lead us to the most growth and the most expansion and the greatest amount of joy and wisdom. That's what we want, because that's why we experience and express, because then we grow in joy and wisdom, and we pass that on into the universe, into the multiverse, into Holy Spirit, into the mothership. So we need that guidance system, and we have one. We have one, and it's called desire. Desire is very different than wishing. A wish is only a whimsical yearning, and it usually fades in a few days. But desire comes from deep in the heart, and it burns internally until it's accomplished. And because it's pulling us along on our path. When we desire something, we're feeling called by it. That's what Joseph Campbell was talking about when he said, follow your bliss. When we seek true joy in our lives, we're on the path of desire. When we see the difference between desire and wish, between desire and need, between desire and lust, then we see then we know what the true path is. We need things like money for food and housing, but those regular things, those are just things that those are givens in life. If we're living our lives correctly, if we're living our lives as on purpose, then like the birds of the air and the flowers of the field, we're provided for. If we're not living our life's purpose, then we have to struggle, don't we? Desire rises above the necessities of life. True desire will require that we change. It always does. Because we're living in one place, and desire says, okay, we're going to go do something different. That means I have to be different. And if we cannot grow or excuse me, we cannot grow. We just cannot unless we're willing to change, because that's what growth is. Growth is change. And if we change, then we stay forever young. And if we're in continual change, we're forever healthy. Like trees, let us spread our leaves and our branches and spend our entire lives reaching for the light. Now, what stops us from simply following our bliss, from following the paths of our desires every day? And the answer simply is fear. Fear of the unknown. Our daily paths are made up of those unfulfilled needs we talked about earlier: a home, a car, a bed, TV, family, some friends, a job. Those make up what we call our comfort zones. True desires are always either a little or a lot outside of our comfort zones. To follow them will require taking a risk. Hey, why take a risk? Isn't everything going on just dandy? Who needs the hassle of the unknown? What possible value will risking bring to my life? To me, Bob, the choice is simple. We can either be a stream or a puddle. We can either be a stream or a puddle.
Listen to your heart. It's asking you to see you are much more than you ever thought that you could be. So don't run and hide from the power you have inside. You have to. You have to. You have to go and live your dream. And there may be days your journey's hard and long. You lose your way and the strength to carry on. Just risk and begin. You have all you need within. You have to. You have to. You have to go and live your dream. 'Cause this whole world is waiting for your gentle love and care. And the whole world is waiting for the dream that's yours to share. So have courage, my friend, in all you say and do. There are so many dreams, and they are living there in you. It's your choice to make with every breath you take. You have to. You have to. You have to. You have to go and live your dream. 'Cause this whole world is waiting for your tender love and care. And this whole world is waiting for the dream that's yours to share. So listen, listen to your heart. It's asking you to see you are much more than you ever felt that you could be. It's your choice to make. With every breath you take, you have to go and live your dream. You have to go and live your dream.
You have to go and live your dream. So perfect for our talk today. You have to go and live your dream. But you know what? There's a problem, and that's that your subconscious mind and my subconscious mind, they're already set. I got things handled. This is the way it is. All of our experiences throughout all of our life are all put in this big library called our subconscious mind. And every time a new experience comes along, a new thing, a person, the look of a person, the way the person talks or acts or sings or plays the drums or drives the car or dresses or whatever, we immediately plug that into our subconscious mind, and it assesses and judges all of that. Oh man, with the speed of light, faster than the speed of light. And then we make a judgment about that person, and we make a judgment about ourselves in the same way. And if we can just get out of that, we'd see truth, which is not what we're seeing through our filters. That's why meditation is so important, because the more you meditate, the more you shake loose from all of those judgments and ideas about what really is. Our subconscious minds are being protected by our egos. Many think that they're the repositories of our lives, experiences, and that they're all true, our subconscious minds. However, not one experience in my life or in your life was ever recorded exactly as it happened. You know that? You look back at your life and you say, boy, that was a tough time, or this happened, or it was a tragedy, or a car wreck, or somebody died, or somebody was killed, or somebody got, sick, or somebody was crippled, or we lost our home, or we lost our money, or foreclosed, or this wonderful thing happened. What you remember is your experience of what happened, which is very different from the true incident. And you can't see the true incident. I'm sorry, please forgive me if it sounds like I'm accusing you. I certainly don't mean that. I'm just talking about me as well as you. You can't see the true incident because you're looking through the filters of all of your beliefs. Let me segue a bit for just a minute and talk about the memory capacity of the brain. Almost 60% of all adult memories come from when we were between 15 and 25 years old, 10 years. 60% of our adult memories come from that 10-year period. And then we live by that. Scientists estimate that the adult brain will hold up to 1 quadrillion pieces of information. 1 quadrillion pieces of information. To give a better idea of what 1 quadrillion is, it's a 1 followed by 15 zeros. 1 and 15 zeros. That's how many memories are rolling around inside of our brains. And they're controlling our lives. But here's the deal. There's a lot of really great memories. There's a lot of memories that tell us how great we are, that tell us we can do it. How many times have you accomplished something you didn't think you could accomplish? How many times have you hung in when you didn't think you could hang in? How many times have you laughed with more joy than you could possibly stand? You smelled a rose, or you smelled a flower, or you looked at the velvet inside of a pansy, and something moved inside of you. How many times has that happened? And how often do you bring those memories to the surface and let those memories be the basis for judgment of reality? Because our subconscious mind is our automatic guidance system. It tries to overcome our desire guidance system. It leads us in a circle, constantly staying within the comfort zone that is 95% of my thoughts yesterday will be my thoughts today and my thoughts tomorrow. That's scientifically true. 95% of my thoughts yesterday will be my thoughts today and my thoughts tomorrow. And that's what my subconscious mind does. It just keeps me going in a circle. It's called my comfort zone. When a new thought, a true desire appears and asks us to take a risk of reaching for it, that's a message from your divine eternal self saying, get down out of those bleachers and get down here on the playing field. The game is afoot. Imagine that you could harness the power of the subconscious mind. Imagine that. 1 quadrillion pieces of information. Imagine you could harness that. Many people actually have done so. Many yogis and saints performed wondrous feats that we call miracles. Walk on water, bilocate, disappear and reappear, create things out of nothing. You have every bit as much ability as they. You only need to practice. Practice meditating, practice challenging your comfort zone. If you read Napoleon Hill's book, Think and Grow Rich, you find that the main point he made in there to accumulate a large fortune, the main point of accumulating a large fortune, according to Napoleon Hill, is desire. True desire is magical in the way it guides our lives to what we want. It's magical. I saw a boat in a service station years and years and years ago, and we were getting gas, and I saw this boat was being pulled by a pickup truck, and I went over and looked at it, and I said, "Man, this is the boat I want." It was a Mako, and the guy talked to me. He said, "Yeah, this comes from the East Coast. They use it offshore fishing for bluefin tuna." And I said, "Boy, I'd sure love to have that boat." Probably 10 years later, I was driving down the street and I saw a boat out in a muddy field with a for sale sign on it. I got out of my car and walked over and looked at it, and it was the Mako, the same boat. The for sale sign had a price that I couldn't possibly afford. So I called the guy. I called it on the number, and I offered him what I could, which was about a quarter of what he wanted for it. He said, "Let me think about it." I didn't hear back from him for 2 or 3 weeks. And I said, "Well, he thought about it." Then he called me and he said, "Sorry, I didn't get back to you. I've been down in Florida." "Yeah, I'll take your offer." I now own that boat. Your desires pull you in directions that show you that you can do the impossible. Gandhi had a desire to see India free from the clutches of the British. His desire led him to confront the occupiers of his country and to do it alone. He sent the most powerful military force in the world home without raising a fist or firing a shot. Thomas Edison's desire held him solid while he failed 1,000 times before he got a bulb to stay alight. What's this power of desire? It gives us the eternal strength to confront any challenge. It works with the law of attraction. It pulls things to you because you hold that desire inside of your heart. We're acting as human magnets, sending out our thoughts and emotions and attracting back more of what we want. Discovering that the law of attraction at work within your life is cause for celebration, because your entire future will be yours to create if you'll just hold your desire and let it attract its truth. And here's the truth I discovered while floating down the Rogue River on a raft. If you would have everything you want, first want everything you have, and then let it go. If you'd have everything you want, first want everything you have, and then let it go. Buddha said, whatever you have become is what you have thought. So here's today's final message. Stop doing what we should do. Start doing what you want to do. How to accomplish that? Start here. Want to do what you're doing. Want it with all your heart. That will open that powerful flow of creative energy and intelligence that'll guide you to your life's work, that'll guide you to what your purpose here is on this planet. And we may be surprised to find that many times wanting to do what we've been doing as an obligation turns out to be what we really want to do without being obligated. Then the task is suddenly enjoyable and filled with grace, and it's filled with a vast creative power that wasn't there before. So simply consider this. Everything in existence is an ongoing miracle that defies scientific logic, If you can realize and come to trust that great spirit in this is in you and in this creation, it should not be hard for you to see that your desires are sacred messages calling for you to come forward and create your own miracles. Come on now. Let's do this. Let's do it together. I love you.
Comes a time when you make a decision and you face the fork in the road. Comes that time when you take that decision right up to the fork in the road. And the one direction leads you round and round in circles, round and round in circles where you come from before. And the other pathway beckons to hold to your vision, a little faith and commitment. There's a whole lot more. I met a man, he was shaped like a turtle. He dragged his feet, there's cement in his shoes. And all his life it went round and round in circles. The economy's bad, and so he's singing the blues. Oh, he can't take the time to see the solutions. They're sitting there in front of his nose. No, don't bother him. He loves his confusion. So round and round in circles the whole thing goes. But there comes a time when you make a decision and you reach the fork in the road. Comes a time when you take that decision right up to the fork in the road. And the one direction leads you round and round in circles, round and round in circles where you come from before. And the other pathway beckons to hold to your vision, a little faith and commitment. There's a whole lot more. And I know a woman, she's cumulonimbus, lighter than air, with her head in the clouds. And all of her life goes round and round in circles. She's just floating along without her feet on the ground. She can't take the space to live big solutions. She's sitting there in front of her nose. No, don't bother her. It's all just illusion. So round and round in circles the whole thing goes. Oh, but you come a time when you make that decision and you face the fork in the road. Comes a time when you take that decision right up to the fork in the road, and you can't say, lead you round in circles, round and round in circles where you come from before, and the other pathway beckons to hold to your vision. A little faith and commitment, there's a whole lot more. It's the way that leads me into the fire. It's the way that leads me on. It's the way that's calling me higher. It's the way where I belong. It's the way that leads me into the fire. It's the way that leads me on. It's the way that's calling me higher. It's the way where I belong. Oh, comes a time when you take that decision and you face the fork in the road. Comes a time when you take that decision right up to the fork in the road, and the one direction leads you round and round in circles, round and round in circles where you come from before, and the other pathway beckons to hold to your vision. You gotta hold to your vision. You gotta hold to your vision. A little faith and commitment. There's a whole lot more. A little bit of faith and commitment. There's a whole lot more.
Thank you again, Edith. Thank you, dear. So deeply appreciate you.
What if the task you have been working on becomes much less enjoyable and less fulfilling after 40 plus years of doing it?
Great question. Wonderful question. Boy, I know that path well. I like to use kind of a metaphor if I can. And as a sea captain, if I'm coming into a port, there'll be a light that I'll follow. And maybe they're range lights. One is up on a hill and another one's down below. And I need, as I'm coming into the port, to get those two lined up perfectly together. And that's the course that'll take me where I need to go. But when I get to a certain place, those are no longer valid, because if I keep going, I'm going to run into the rocks or wherever those lights are standing. So at that point, the lights go out because there's a platform under the lights. Now I can't see the lights anymore. But if I look, there's another light over there. Now I turn my course and go toward the other light. I couldn't have got to where I make the turn if I hadn't had the first light. If I'm following what I think is my life's work for 40 years and then the light goes out, that's not a bad thing. That's really a great thing. That means you're now ready to be following a new light. So look around and see what joy awaits you and where it is, and then follow your bliss. And know that the path that you took to get here is divine. Thank you, my brother.
Our next question comes from a member that asks, 3 times in my life, I've worked to create a home-based business, and 3 times I've ended up in more debt with no business, even though I worked for 3 to 5 years every time, giving what I thought was my best. What stops us from achieving our goals?
I don't think it's you in this case. I think it's the business. I've been involved in a whole lot of multi-level marketing programs and have started and run businesses and been president of a business called the National Health and Safety Services. I've done all of those things. And what I've found is that for some people, it's their life's work. For some people get into those businesses because it looks like they're going to be able to make a lot of money. If that's the goal, just to make a lot of money, probably it isn't the right business. But if you're called to it because it speaks to your soul, the work speaks to your soul, and you follow your bliss and you follow that divine energy in your work, regardless of what it looks like financially, it will pay. It will financially reap rewards for you. But I don't think there's anything wrong with you in that you started 2 or 3 home businesses and that they didn't work. I think the message to you was, yeah, you learned a ton. And working those businesses, you learned a ton. But the message now is given the experience and the wisdom that you've gained for that, what do you really want to do with your life? If I had a magic wand and I could just wave it over you, and you had one wish, and it's not to have another wish. If it's one wish, what would it be? What would you be willing? What would you want to be or do or have? Find that out and then follow that bliss, regardless of what you feel or anyone else says. Thank you for that question.
Our next question, Bob, comes from a member who asks, what if following one's desire is perpetually sabotaged by the impossible and multiple challenges of severe early trauma history, despite lifelong and gargantuan effort?
Yeah, early trauma is a bear. It's a bear. Either people are crippled physically or they're traumatized emotionally and mentally, and they're suffering from PTSD. Boy, I really hear that. And I can tell you that I experienced that. I know that very, very well. And what I've learned is that if you're doing your life's work, rather it's not doing something you should do, but doing something that calls to you from your heart, that trauma can become energy in your favor. Because the trauma, the feeling, the experience I have today of all of those traumatic, awful events is just energy. The events aren't happening anymore. The trauma's not happening anymore. But the energy's still there. And Holy Spirit, Great Spirit, God, the great presence, the creator of the universe, lets that energy still be there, because in that incident, in that event, in those events that created the trauma, there was a learning process. There was an awakening process that went on. And if you will take that wisdom and then apply the energy of that trauma to your true purpose, do you know, people ask me a lot, I don't know how to find my purpose. I look for my life's purpose and I don't know how to find my purpose. Let me say this. Your life's purpose is this. Be you. Be you. In every area of your life. That's your life's purpose. Because then you'll set the world on fire with joy, love, and sparkling, sparkling grace. Thank you.
Our next question, Bob, is, do you have or can you recommend a specific practice for decreasing judgment of events, others, and self?
Yeah, you know, that's a toughie. My wife, Mary, God bless her, has taught me something, and that's that every time I see somebody that I think should be doing something different don't like what they're doing or don't like what I'm doing or whatever, she says, bless you. To that person, bless you. Bless you. I bless you. I bless you. I bless you. And I bless me. Inside of a blessing is a forgiveness. When I see someone that I just say, God, look at that person. How could they do that to themselves? God, what a man. Then I say to myself, there but for the grace of God go me. And then I say, I bless you. I bless you. And I feel that in my heart, which means I forgive you for not being the way I need you to be. And then I bless me and I forgive me. And that's a practice, not just once or twice. That has to be constant. It may take 3, 4, 5, 6 months before you finally find that those judgments have ceased. But they will if you're willing to go after it. Thank you.
And our last question, Bob, comes from me. You said during the talk, to get everything you want everything you have. And some may think that that is just kind of a cute wordplay, but I think it contains within it a highly advanced teaching of wanting everything you have. Some reading I've done suggests that we should learn to say thank you for everything we have and everything that happens, whether we judge it to be good or whether we judge it to be bad, and that by judging it to be bad, that we're actually causing it to remain in our life rather than thanking it, finding the lesson. But I don't want to answer my own question.
You're doing a good job.
But what can you say about that?
You're doing well, and I appreciate very much what you said, because I think it's right on. I think this is what's true. Whatever you have, relationships, wealth, health, creativity, spirituality, daily peace of mind, whatever you have, you created. Now, I don't want to be accusatory with that. But you've created. We create our realities. And it's taken an enormous amount of energy to create the reality that I have. Now I say, but I don't want this reality. Then what I'm blocking that energy is trying to get in and I'm blocking it. I'm saying, no, I don't want this. But if I say I want it, then the energy of having it goes away and the energy once again becomes mine to do with which I will, which is to create what I want. So in order to have everything that I want, I first have to want everything that I have. Really want it. I have to go to my job. Oh, I have to go to no, I don't have to go to my job. I want to go to my job. And then I can let it go. If the job disappears, I can just let it go because I'm creating it day by day. I want this job. So to have everything I want, first, I must want everything I have and then let it go, then release it. Mm-hmm. Thank you, Randy. Beautiful question.
Thank you. It raises another question, and I again was just sort of rolling off in your answer there. It's a matter of much debate in spiritual circles about, we've created our reality, but in many cases we don't know how we created our reality. So to not or to cease creating that reality seems a little bit of a black box, and it gets particularly sensitive around health challenges. That to simply say, well, you created that health challenge. How do you speak to that?
I really hear that, and I think when some people hear me talk and I say, whatever you have, you created that, it does sound accusatory. If in fact you have cancer or diabetes or your back's gone out, for me to say you created that. But see, the thing of it is that it's not that you did a bad thing or a wrong thing. There's an enormous creative power in the universe. And we can create in one of two ways: by an act of commission or by an act of omission. So the energy is coming to us, and incidents are popping up around us in life. And I'll either commit to a certain path and commit to living a certain way, in which case divine energy flows through me, or I won't choose that path. I'll omit choosing that path and just let things happen as they will, going around in circles, as Edith's song said. And then things happen to me. And I didn't create this happening. I created it, yes, by an act of omission, by not taking charge of my life, by just letting things happen to me. So the really important thing about this is that when somebody says, well, you created this, I mean, you create your own reality, so you created this. The answer to that is, so what? So what? Right now, it is the way it is, and it is the way. It is the way it is, and it is the way. No matter how desperate the situation seems, no matter how off base it seems, you can use the energy of that situation to change your life and to change the situation. And if you know some dear, sweet, good person who got cancer and it turned into stage 4 cancer and it metastasized and then they ultimately died, and then you say, well, I'm so sorry that John or Melba or whoever created that cancer. No, it is the way it is, and it is the way. We don't die. We were never born and we will never die. We live lives and we do the best we can. We run as fast as we can on the track. We do the very best we can in this Olympics called life. And then we're done. And then we're done. And then we go on to another dimension. And again, we do the very best we can. And it's all grace, and it's all good, and it's all sending our love and our power back to the mothership. And there's no wrong. There's no wrong. Jesus, I know I'm going on and on, but let me just make this one quick point. Jesus would be walking along and there would be a leper and people would say, oh, he stinks. He's covered with sores. Stay away from him. Jesus would go over and talk to him, touch him and say, you know, your sins are forgiven. And the guy'd get up and walk away and he was cured. And the Pharisees said to him, well, who are you to forgive sins? And Jesus said, what's the difference? I forgive you your sins or I heal you. What's the difference? You're forgiven or you're healed. It's the same thing. And those people who've moved on to the other side, or those people who are now suffering from a terminal disease, or from a disease that they're not able to get on top of, that it just seems incurable. They've done everything. They meditate, they pray, they're on silent unity, and still that disease persists. It is the way it is. It is the way. The experiences that come to us in life, if we're following our path, those experiences will grow us in wisdom and joy if we will just open and accept them. It is the way it is. It is the way. We're here to experience and express. Adam and Eve laid around on the eternally mowed lawn and watched the butterflies, and they didn't experience or express anything. They just laid there. It's a myth, of course, that they were even there, but we're not here to lay around on the grass. We're here to get our butts kicked once in a while and fall in love and have our hearts broken and fall in love and have a wonderful, wonderful time and celebrate life. God's blessing you.
Thank you, Bob. Thank you, Bob.